If you're a content creator and you're not working with brands yet, you should be. There are people out there looking for who you are and what you do, but the thing is that you've got to learn how to get in front of them. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to pitch to brands. One of the things that we know is that people are making a significant amount of money working with brands. We all know the big famous celebrities that are working with brands, but over the last 2 or 3 years, we have started to see influencer marketing completely shift. People like you and me who don't have the massive amount of following actually having brands looking for us to create content and them being willing to give us money to create content. But the thing is that you've got to know how in the world do you actually pitch to brands. And so that's what I want to talk about today. So one of the things to note about pitching to brands is that before you ever go to a brand and pitch them, it is really, really important that you are creating content on a regular basis and that you have a place for them online to be able to reach out to you. A lot of brands are going to want an email address. So you've got to make sure that wherever you are creating content that an email address is available so that it's easy for them to be able to contact you. Okay, the second thing you need to know before you start pitching to brands is that you have to make sure that the brands that you are trying to pitch to, that your brand aligns with them. What does that mean? If you are pitching to Nike and Nike is very much into sports, fitness, and things of that nature, then you need to make sure that your content, your brand actually makes sense for them to work with you, okay? But not only that, let's just say that you want to work with a religious organization. You have to make sure that your brand aligns with them. Otherwise, a brand, when you reach out to them and you pitch them, they're never going to follow up with you if you do not make sense for their brand. Okay. So I'm not saying that you have to be everything that other people want you to be, but it is important that you are very clear on who you are as a brand and that the brands you are going to a pitch that you align with them, because a lot of time as creators we want to work with this brand and we want us to them to pay us money, but the reason why brands hire influencers is because first of all that brand doesn't mind that influencer being the face of a campaign. Okay, for example, we know that Kim Kardashian has had Balenciaga, Dolce and Gabbana, and all these different people. And so she aligns with their brand. Okay, does that make sense? And so for me, if Bud Light reached out to me, it wouldn't work well together. If I reached out to Bud Light, it wouldn't work well together. One, I don't drink. Two, I don't drink beer. Three, I don't promote people drinking alcohol. It's cool, that's what they do, but that's just not what I do, and it's not what I promote. So the two do not go hand in hand. So before you start to pitch, you have got to make sure that you have done your homework on the brand. You've also got to make sure that you align with that brand. Otherwise, when you reach out, they're not going to reach back. Or if they do, they will end up saying no in the long run because the two do not align. Okay. Last thing you want to do before you start to pitch a brand is you've got to clean your stuff up. You have got to clean up your brand. Okay. What does that mean? That means that if your content is all over the place, like it's like you are talking about this one time and talking about this one time, and it's just like all over the place, then it's going to be really hard for a brand to say yes to you, okay? It doesn't mean that your content needs to be perfect and that you can only talk about one thing, but it does mean that there needs to be some consistency, some levels of consistency with what you do with the content that you post for a brand to say yes to you. Because here's something to know. When you start pitching brands, before they ever respond to you, they're going to go and look at you. Okay, they're gonna go and binge watch you on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, on Facebook. They're gonna look at all things associated with you. They're gonna look up your name. They're gonna look for a website. They're gonna look at all types of stuff before they ever reach out to you. I have had so many brands and people that have hired me to speak at events that have said, we love you, we looked at your content. They just knew all this stuff about me before I ever got on the phone with them or before I ever got into a Zoom meeting or an email conversation. And, a lot of people may not tell you this, but this is the truth, because if I was going to hire an influencer to create content for me, he have got to align with us, right, on certain levels of things, okay? Hope that makes sense. Now, how do you actually start to pitch for brands? So one of the things to know is that one of the ways to have success really easily is to be creating content on TikTok. I have seen so many influencer marketing agencies that are on TikTok way more than they are on Instagram. How do I know that? Because I have been on Instagram for many years, at least 10 years, and I have been on TikTok for 3.5. I have made over $250,000 on working with brands, and has all come from TikTok. I have never had a brand reach out to me directly from Instagram. Never. But I have had them all reach out to me from TikTok. So one of the easiest ways to start working with brands and get discovered by brands is by you actually creating content in a place where everybody is searching for influencers, for people that can create content for them. So you want to make sure you have a consistent presence on TikTok, even if that means you're just posting one video a week, okay? Even if that means you're only posting one video a week, okay? The next thing, if you want to start pitching to brands, okay? One of the ways to pitch to brands is by creating content acting as if you're already working with them. Now, some people would say, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it for free. I get it. But if you're trying to get on their radar, whereas there's millions of people that are pitching to brands every single day, one of the easiest ways to get on a brand's radar is having content that they get tagged in. And they're like, well, what is this? This has happened to me over and over and over again, where I have created a piece of content, I have tagged a brand, and then the brand saw me because of that tag video. They reach out to me and we collaborate together on some type of paid collaboration. Now, when I create the video and I tag them in that video, I'm not pitching them, right? I am not pitching them. I am talking about whatever it is I'm talking about when it relates to them, and then they see it, and oftentimes they want to be able to reuse that content. And so that, again, can start the conversation where you're talking about the brand paying you, okay? So that's the first way. The second way to pitch to a brand is not only do you create that piece of content and you tag them because they may not see it, I then take that video and I will send it to them in DM on Instagram and on TikTok. And I will tell them who I am, what I do on my account, and that I would love to work with them. Oftentimes, that content reaches the social media manager, and the social media manager then connects me to the right people for that particular campaign or whatever campaign it is that they are currently running or planning on running. Listen, people kind of really dismiss the idea of creating content and then reaching out to a brand. But listen, every single time that I've done that, I have made thousands and thousands of dollars working with brands because I got on their radar by doing that, creating the content and then sending it to them. Because the number one thing you don't want to do to pitch to a brand is go to their website, go to contact us, and then submit something through a form. Do you know how many people are doing that method and it's just being caught up in a spam folder or whatever folder that it is? Whereas you can be more intentional and be more strategic, and they can see you and your content, okay? Another way you can pitch to brands is that if you don't want to create the content, then you can actually just send them a direct message in their inbox. And you can say, my name is ABC. I create content around XYZ. I see that you have a campaign around A, B, and C. I would love to see how I may be able to contribute to your goals of that campaign. Who is the right person that I should talk to about this? So you don't pitch your rate. You don't go on, I want to be able to get paid by you all. No, but you want to kind of have this conversation that they are interested in having, okay? So you got to go to it from a consultative approach. You got to go from it from the way where it's I see what you're doing. I want to be a part of it. here's who I am. How can I join this? Right. And that way you're coming to them humbly. All right. Because oftentimes people just don't come to businesses and brands humbly. And if you would, you will find yourself receiving so much more opportunities. Okay. The last way that you can pitch to brands is if you already have friends that are working on certain type of campaigns, or they have worked with a brand before, ask them to just make an introduction. Say, hey, I know you worked with Maybelline on this and this campaign. Would you be willing to make an introduction to your point of contact so that I can see if I can join a campaign with them in the future? The worst that could happen is your friend says no. The best that happens is that you get an introduction and now you're having a conversation with the brand. But if you don't at least try, or someone who already has the network and the relationship, if you don't at least try, then it's an automatic no. Okay? But every single time that I allow myself to go through these different processes, I get paid to speak, I get paid to create content. So much stuff happens because I go through this exact process. Okay. So if you want more from this, I want you to ask me in the comments what you have questions about as it pertains to pitching to brands. And then I will be sure to do a video upcoming. Okay. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video. We have videos that come out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.